Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Hal and we're going to have some fun in this video because we've been looking back at near enough every player that has played for the Blades on this handy website called worldfootball.net. And I must admit it has been wrong in the past, but it saves me spending 3 weeks going through every player and finding out their nationality. So, as you read the title of this video and decided to click on it anyway, you will know that I'm going to attempt to find the best player from every country in the world that has played for the Blades. Caveat, some countries may not be included due to nobody from that nation wanting to move to Sheffield. So, let's start with Antigua and Barbuda, with the only player from those countries being Mikel Ledgerwood. Argentina. Now, this was much more difficult. Either pick a midfielder who scored 8 goals for us, or Elian Perino. So yes, of course, I picked Alejandro Sabella, or Alex Sabella. However, this could have been so different, but £500,000 for Diego Maradona? Way too much money for one of the greatest players to ever grace the game. Australia, we could have gone for Aussie striker Carl Veart. Wing wizard David Carney, the big centre-back Doug Hodgson, or championship relegation suffering Shane Lowry. But I went for the legend that is Sean Murphy, a man-mountain who popped up with a goal or two. Austria. Now, if anyone gets this one, very well done to you. Mr. Johnny Ertl. What a car crash of a player. But he's our only ever Austrian, so it has to be him. Barbados. Now, I've actually got a big decision to make on this one. Before you ask, no, it isn't Sheffield-born Jonathan Fort. It's between Salford-born Nick Blackman and Brighton-born Paul Eiffel. Now, I think because Blackman played for us in a lower division, I'm going to have to go with Paul Eiffel. Belarus. Now, this one is for the 30 years and older fans. The Catman himself, Peter Cachuro. I quite liked him, actually. Played second fiddle to Gareth Taylor and Andy Walker for large parts of his Blades career, but certainly knew where the back of the net was. Belgium! Yes, nowadays they're known for incredibly talented forwards, midfielders, defenders and goalkeepers. But my choice is between Florent Cavelier, Richie Delat and Davy Guzbrex. I'll just give it to Delat and move on. He probably did more in his career than the rest of them. Benin! And if you get this one, I'll give you the money myself. I never knew this bloke played international football for Benin, and he was born in France. But, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the one, the only, Mr. Lauren de Jaffo. Brazil. Apparently the only ever Brazilian to play for the Blades, but the guy was actually a decent player and an incredible goal scorer. Marcelo. Cameroon. Another player, only, from that country, Cameroon's King Headbutter, Patrick Sufo. Canada. We've had 2 players from Canada, apparently. One of these players played in the worst Blades team there has ever been, David Edgar, and the other scored an epic goal in a playoff semi-final. So I reckon Paul Pesky-Salido just pips David Edgar. Why couldn't we have signed Edgar Davids? Cape Verde. Another one, born in France, but he goes by the name of George Two-Footed Tackle Santos. China. Heo Haidong, Li Tie, or Sun Ji-hai. Now, seen as though Heo Haidong or Li Tie have never actually started a game for the Blades, I'm going to have to give it to Sun Ji-hai. But apparently, when I was doing my research, I found out that Sun Ji-hai actually scored a goal for the Blades. Now, if anyone can remember this moment, let me know in the comments, because I can't. Egypt. There's only ever been one Egyptian player who played for the Blades, which was Ahmed Fati. However, he did more than a lot of players did for us. He started a game at Anfield. However, he only featured 2 other times and cost us 700 grand. So I think the only winner with this transfer were Ismaili, his club, and of course Ahmed Fati's bank account. England. Now we are on to the first of the home nations, and I know I will get hammered for missing this player and that player, but I don't think you can look past Tony Curry, really? Can you? I also had Jimmy Hagan, a man my dad said was the greatest winger never to play for England, Alan Woodward, Michael Brown, Harry Maguire, James Beattie, and you could even have current blades such as Dean Henderson, Billy Sharp, Phil Jagielka. But I think the fact that Tony Curry was awarded the greatest player of all time for us pretty much settles that one. France. I think this is a no-brainer, really, as the only players I could find were Jean Calvet, Christian Nardet and Lys Mousset. And seen as though the Moose has scored 6 goals for us in the Premier League, I think that trumps Nardet's 3 and Jean Calvet's 1 in the Championship. Gibraltar. There aren't too many players that were born in Gibraltar and play professional football. Manchester-born Danny Higginbottom goes into that list, having played 15 times for the Blades in 2013, our honorary Gibraltarian. Greece. Now, we are lucky to have had a few decent Greek players, and that is without naming Panos Retsos, and he only came on as a second-half sub in Reading, that FA Cup match this season. However, we have had Georgi Donis, Traianos Delas, but the award for Best Greek Player has to go to my favourite player of all time, Vas Borbokis. Who knows, Georgios Baldock may appear in the list in the future. Guadeloupe. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea where Guadeloupe is, but that was where our 5-game wonder, David Sommet, was born. He also played 8 times for their national team. Haiti, another French-born player in L'Arsenal, Jean-Francois, who played 25 games for us, but 2 knee injuries finished off Jean-Francois at the age of 26. Sad, really, but yes, he played 3 times for Haiti, which means this lad has secured his place in the list as our best ever Haitian player. Italy. Now, there were a few Italians on the list, but I'd never heard of any of them. So I've gone with Arturo Lupoli, and this is only because he scored against Wednesday. We still lost the game too, so not one that many Blades like to reminisce about. Ivory Coast. Nope, we didn't have a young Yaya Touré or Didier Drogba, but we did have a big central defender, Olivier Tebier. Wasn't a bad defender either. Jamaica. We've had a lot of Jamaicans, or should I say Jamaicans. I was going to give this award to non-Jamaican in Lee Williamson, but seeing as though he was born in Derby, and Jamel Campbell-Rice, Barry Hales and Marlon King were all born in England too, it has to be between 2 actual Jamaicans, Claude Davis and Luton Shelton. I'm going to go for Calamity Claude. After all, he played in the Premier League for us, and he wasn't always dreadful. Malta. So for Malta, we have the bloke we bought from Barnsley in Daniel Bogdanovic. He was relegated with the Blades to League One and then was sold on after scoring a prolific 5 in 34 games. Montserrat. A player that definitely had his best days ahead of him, as he wasn't at his best for the Blades. Lyle Taylor recently decided against playing for Charlton and just to let his contract run out, which saw them relegated on the last day of the season. He's played 6 games for the Caribbean island of Montserrat, scoring 1 goal. Northern Ireland, my next home nation, and there have maybe been some better players before my time, but in third I've gone with Jamie Ward, second is Cornbeath Keith Gillespie, and number 1 has to be our current number 16, Ollie Norwood. He steered us to promotion and has featured 57 times for Northern Ireland. However, Keith Gillespie has played a massive 86 games for them, so fair play, Keith. Netherlands. There have been many gifted Dutch players from the past, but the Blades haven't had any of them. I could have chosen Laurens ten Hervel or Gus Uhlenbeek, but I opted to go for the big man at the back, Michel Vonk. I remember him being absolutely class when I was growing up. We do have the goalkeeper, Verips, but I haven't seen him play a second in a Blade shirt, so we can't add him to the list. Norway. We have had a few decent Norwegians, and our current record transfer fee is a Norwegian, but unfortunately, Berger is not yet the best for me. Neither is Roger Nielsen, Bjorn Helge Riise or Jostein Flo. The winner for the best Sheffield United Norwegian is Jan Arge Fjortoft. The guy scored goals, linked the play and just oozed class. A magical player who was wonderful at impersonating an aeroplane. Portugal. We've only had one Portuguese player, and that was Bruno Ribeiro, a tiny midfielder who didn't last too long in a Blade shirt and only managed 25 appearances, scoring 1 goal. Republic of Ireland. Now this is a tough one, as we've had quite a few Irish players and even have quite a few in the current squad, plus some great players from the 2000s and 90s. I may have missed some great players, but in my lifetime I've narrowed it down to Paddy Kenny, Alan Kelly, Alan and Stephen Quinn, Didsey, Ender and Big John Egan. However, seeing as though for Jamaica I narrowed it down by going for just Jamaican-born players, I'm going for only Irish players. Exactly. That leaves us with Ender, Egan and the Quinnies. And I know I'm going to be accused of recency bias, but I'm going to go for John Egan. For what he's done the past 2 seasons, he has truly been our rock at the back. Scotland, again, another country where we've had a hell of a lot of players, but I'm not even discussing it. It's John Fleck. It has to be John Fleck. It's always been John Fleck. It's John Fleck. Senegal. The only Senegalese player to ever play for the Blades was Henri Camara, and he was okay, I suppose. St Kitts and Nevis. Yes, next up is a Manchester-born player who played for England under 16s, 17s, 18s, 19s, 20s and that's it. It didn't half take them long to realise that Fabian Brandy was terrible. He ended up playing 2 games for St Kitts and Nevis in 2015, and that was all she wrote. Turkey. It's a bit mad that we've never had any Turkish players. However, we did have a player that qualified for Turkey through his mother, who was a Turkish Cypriot, Colin Kazim Richards. He only played 27 games for the Blades and then jetted off to Turkey to play for Fenerbahce, and whilst there earned himself a Turkish cap, followed by 36 more. Wales. In recent years we've had Brooksy, Kieran Freeman, and before that we had Ched Evans and David Cottrell. But for me, the greatest Welsh Blade was Gary Speed. What a player. And finally, Zimbabwe. If you're over the age of about 27, 28, and you don't know who this is, then I'm sorry, but your Blades knowledge is absolutely atrocious. And obviously, the greatest Zimbabwean to play football has to be the great Peter Undlove. What a player this guy was, especially in the 2002-2003 triple assault season. He actually played 100 games for the national side and was the assistant manager between 2011 to 2013. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It took a long time to research and a long time to make, so if you haven't already, please drop it a like. If there's any players I've missed, let us know. Thank you. See you next time.
Look at that ping from Norwood. Makes other teams look no good. Yeah. We've got a team full of leaders. Alan Hill, Chris Wilder taught us. Right. Yeah, there was us on the tour bus. Yeah. Look how many goals Billy scored us. It's beautiful downtown Bromley Lane. We are the boys from Shore.